Hello, my name is Vern Baker. I'm a gold miner, and I'm here to talk to you today about the company I'm the CEO of, Jaguar Mining. And start off with, what is Jaguar Mining? Jaguar Mining, we're a gold producing company focused in the Iron Quadrangle of Brazil, in good free cash flow, dividend paying, and with what I think is probably the best organic growth opportunity I've seen in my career. So today I'm not only a gold miner, I'm a bit of a salesman, so forward-looking statements you'll hear, and I encourage all of you to do any research on your own. Now, what do we bring to the investor? Well, as I said, we're a focused gold mining company. We have two operating mines in the Iron Quadrangle in Brazil, in the state of Minas Gerais. We're focused on continuing to increase our productivity and our performance on ounces, and we think we have a good solid base of reserves and resources and a great opportunity to expand that with exploration. We'll talk a bit about the capital structure in the next slide as well, but we've built a good, strong treasury in 2020 as we finish kind of our turnaround year. So we're moving forward from a significant turnaround in 2019. We had a good year despite all the challenges of 2020, and we think 2021 is going to be quite opportunistic for us. Currently, the two mines we operate, we have a good, solid management teams, almost not even almost, over 90% of our managers and senior managers have been with the company for at least a year and a half or longer and have been part of the turnaround that we have executed last year. We think we're at a unique position in the Iron Quadrangle, which is a fantastic gold district. It's a district that's produced gold for well over 300 years, has a tremendous endowment, and is continuing to show, we think, a lot of good opportunity on the exploration end. On the capital structure, we have we just completed a year, in which we kind of gotten rid of our debt. We've filled up our bank account. We have about $40 million in the account. And we're moving forward, as I said, with good solid cash flows that are allowing us to pay dividends, to invest in the capital projects of our mines, and to do a very significant exploration program for our new projects. Currently, there's about 72 million shares outstanding on our organization. And, our price is seeing the same volatility that everybody else is seeing with the price of gold. And we have very solid, behind that production that we did of 91,000 last year, up from 73,000 in 2019. Behind that, we have about 5 years of reserves, and another 2 million ounces in resource to allow us to continue building reserves as we move forward. And we've seen very good, as I said, operating cash flows in the $15 to $20 million range over the last couple quarters. Excuse me, I'm going the wrong way. I want to talk a little bit about the Iron Quadrangle, where we are and why we're so pleased with this. This jurisdiction has been producing gold since before 1700. The mines that have been here have ranged to well over 1 million ounces. There's at least two modern mines that have produced over 10 million ounces of gold. And the overall district has produced over 50 million ounces of gold. We currently have on the order of 45,000 hectares of our own properties in order to do exploration on. And really pleased being here. I've mined in South America before, I've mined in Canada, I've mined in the United States, and I'll tell you what, living in a state called Minas Gerais, or the state of general mines, in a place where both the country and the state support mining, have good regulatory systems, is a real pleasure. And in the Iron Quad, we have, as I said, a lot of ground. We also have a JV with Iam Gold for an additional very significant land package to be explored. And that is to help feed the growth, because we currently have about 500,000 ounces of reserves from a total of about 2.5 million in resources. Key to the organic growth opportunity here is the fact that we have 3 plants built and operable at about 2,000 tons per day, located in 3 different parts of the Iron Quadrangle, giving us really almost anywhere we find gold here, we're going to have a plant within haulage distance. Currently, one of those plants is on care and maintenance, and the 2 we're operating have a total throughput of about 2,400 tons per day. So we have a very significant opportunity both for filling the 2 operating plants and for bringing in reserves and resources to start up and fill that 3rd plant. COVID-19, of course, has been a challenge for everybody this year, but we had a team, I thought, that pulled together pretty well, put together an action plan, executed it, and to date have been able to manage around the coronavirus. It's had its impacts, but we've been able to do well. That management team that I've talked about that is becoming more and more competent saw a significant, not only a 23% improvement in our ounce production last year, but a 70% improvement in our lost time incidents. And so very pleased with the quality of work being done there. Here's the statistics really from last year, and I'll focus on the annual numbers. See similar improvements in the quarter-on-quarter basis, but we saw an improvement both in tonnage, throughput, and in grade. The grade predominantly improved at Pilar. We saw very significant improvement as we got a little deeper in the ore body, and we saw some very good results in mining in the core part of our deeper folds. Turmalina, getting more and more into their development program, getting more stopes kind of online and in sequence, saw some improvement in grade as well. That, of course, fed our improvement in ounces, coming from the 74,000 last year to 91,000 this year. We also improved in development, primarily in primary development, and that's what gives us access to new levels and new ore. So we're very pleased that the teams did a good job of pushing forward with that. Now, I talked a little bit about our organic growth. That really starts with our cash flow, because that allows us to do that growth with money that we're generating. The improved production rates, the improved price, and kind of the sustained development program has allowed us to perform on a fairly consistent basis, actually very consistent at Pilar at around from 11.5 to 13.5 on a quarterly basis, and Turmalina, while below where we'd like to see it, was a little over 10,000 per quarter. But that gives us the foundation, both to pay some dividends, to put the money we need into the sustaining capital, make our mines keep going, and to put money into exploration and growth. And that is focused around these 3 mills that we have. Again, we're operating 2 of them with about 2,400 tons of capacity being used. In that right now, there's about 1,600 tons of capacity that's not free to use, but it's pretty cheap if we can put some more tons in front of those mines. So we're putting a lot of drilling in. We actually did almost double the drilling last year we did the year before in order to build the resources first so we can have the reserves to start raising those tonnage rates in those 2 mills. And we're doing work around our Paciencia property in order to generate the resources and reserves that can feed that mill. And that comes from a couple places. The organic growth within the 2 mines we continue to look at. We're seeing a lot of additional structures that have mineralization. It looks like it can be very productive for us. As well, we have an exploration JV with Iam Gold. This JV we got very excited about. Predominantly, there's a property that we think has great geology on it, has some good geochemistry, some good geophysics adjacent to our plant that's on care and maintenance. So we got a team working on that last fall, and we expect to be doing some drilling there pretty soon. Again, other organic exploration we're doing on properties that we currently hold, because we hold a significant land position already. Here are the zone of basalt, the Pilarzinho at Pilar, zone of basalt is at Turmalina. CPA is the mining properties adjacent to our Paciencia plant. Finite is also on our Turmalina property. And then Caete Plant, which is within about 5 kilometers of our Caete Plant, which processes the Pilar ore. We just think we've really got some good opportunities here. We did some good work with our team when we didn't have a lot of money, and all we could do was keep their boots on the ground and keep them out there mapping the geology and seeing what's going on. We're very pleased with the programs we've put together to drill, and expect this year we'll be putting out some information on our. Here they are, to give you an idea of how they relate. The area of this map is basically the Iron Quadrangle of Minas Gerais. Our mine in the upper left-hand corner, where it says zone of basalt and fina, that's the Turmalina mine is on that property. And those two projects are right there. In the middle, you see the box with Caete Plant, or our CB project. Within that box is also the Caete Plant. And adjacent to the CB property is what we call the Caete mine. So it's a mine we operated about 10 years ago. It's less than a kilometer center to center with the anomalies we're currently working to drill on this project. But we're pretty pleased with how that's positioned where it is. And Pilarzinho, again, is part of the Pilar mine, basically. The Iam Gold square in the middle is the one that we're working on in a joint venture play with Iam Gold. The team was put together last fall. They're getting at it. We do expect to have the drills turning before the end of the first half of this year. Currently doing a lot of mapping, finishing some new geophysics work, and doing some additional geochemical work over some pretty good numbers that had already been in the historic database. Iam Gold JV also contains what we call the Southern District, which is that lower blue square. And while we're doing some reconnaissance there, we want to, currently we're focusing our effort in that central part. At Turmalina, this is a close-up view of our mine. You see the bigger circle on this map is circling the actual mine and the various ore bodies that we see within that mine. So you see there's a significant number of structures, and basically everything we've found has mineralization, and at some points in it has ore grade mineralization. Along that same trend is the Fina deposit, which we mined with an open pit in the past, and then farther north from there is the Pontal deposit. And we've done some work on the Fina deposit. It's a little more complicated metallurgically. We have a resource there, we put some holes into it, got some good numbers, and we're currently doing some metallurgical tests to see how we have to adapt our mill in order to handle this ore. It's a pretty nice deposit in that we're already looking in about 400,000 ounces of inferred. Small amount of drilling, we can increase that and bring it into indicated, and we're seeing grades of 6 to 7 grams, so pretty good stuff. The other circle to the left-hand side there is the zone of basalt. And it's a nice large anomaly that we got both from geophysics and geochemistry. It's again right in the Turmalina property, and we're doing some drilling on it. See predominantly that it's going to be start off at least as a big surface opportunity. This cross-section gives you an idea of the kind of intercepts that we've been seeing on this property. The lower one you see on it at almost 10 meters at just over 10 grams is a gram tonnage of about 100, obviously, and we're successfully making money right now with really anything over 20 gram meters. So we're pretty pleased that we have an opportunity to go for this. Our current thought is that we'll be able to access it from our underground at Turmalina and bring something online fairly quickly. The zone of basalt target, also on the Termelina property, this is kind of indicating the surface area that we've seen as being highly prospected for us. We have about a 3-kilometer trend where we've got very significant returns of gold over 100 ppb, and with all the indicator metals that we would expect as well. So a lot of work was done in 2019 and 2020 before we had money to drill. This year last year I guess, we got started on doing some drilling after we concluded some geophysics with the magnetics being done with a drone, and we're drilling some targets. You can see here that the numbers on this are from the soils and the trenches that we did. You know, on the surface, we're seeing reasonably low grade, but it's heavily oxidized and it's pretty big. CB, this is a project very near our Caete mill and an old mine called the Caete mine. Again, it's an area where we have a whole bunch of good indications. And when we didn't have money, we did some work, including some trenching and some auger drilling. And one of our auger drills came back with a kick of about almost 13 meters at over 20 grams. Pretty exciting, good stuff. We've since done some geophysics over it, got anomalies, geophysic anomalies concurrent with several different higher gold anomalies seen in the geochemistry. And that's what you see on the map in the red shaded areas, is areas where we have good geophysics overlain by good geochemistry. So we were able to get in and start drilling this in December. Hope to start seeing some returns from that over the next couple months, and hope to be putting out some information on it. Very excited. I haven't seen a better kind of bringing together of good geologic mapping, good geophysics, and good geochemistry over a significant scale in a great gold district. This is really a good target. Talk a little bit again about our Iam Gold prospects. They're outlined, that property is outlined in red or colored in red on this, and the yellow is currently what we hold directly as Jaguar. You can see in the middle there, adjacent to our Santa Isabel mine, we have a big property we're working on with the Iam Gold JV. We have, again, we're pleased with the underlying geology, the original more large-scale, let's say, geophysics that were done here, and the geochemistry that's historically been done in there. So we've been following up on a significant number of those things, including a much tighter space geophysics survey to allow us to really start defining structures that we might want to drill on. And again, it's located very close to a 2,000 ton per day mill that's on care and maintenance and reasonably ready to go, should we get the resources and the reserves to go after. So our commitment is still to become a 100,000 ounce producer. We're about 91,000 in 2020. We think we'll see about 10% growth in production this year to get to that 100,000. Most of that is expected at Turmalina. Turmalina saw, as a mine, saw an increase of about 20% from their performance in 2019, and we expect to step it up about that much again this year. Our Pilar mine stepped up their performance by about 25% from what they did in 2019, and really became a pretty stable producer. We've been pretty pleased, and we're targeting 50,000 ounces from there again. A good, consistent, sustainable performance. And we're doing the drilling to build the resources and reserves, so potentially in the future we can grow that mine some more as well. The organic opportunity, again, is what I see. You see a company with 6,000 tons a day of processing capacity, located in 3 plants, well located within a large, highly tremendous opportunity for us to grow organically. And we have a good cash balance, just short of $40 million in the bank. And we're looking at cash flows that allow us to have a very solid investment in our capital projects at our mines, in our exploration programs to bring in new ounces, and again, to continue paying dividends. We're very pleased with where we're at and how we're moving forward. So I am now ready for questions if anybody would like to ask them.
Thank you, Vern. I'm Mark Reichman, the Senior Research Analyst who covers the metals and mining sector for Noble Capital Markets. I'd like to remind our viewers, if you have a question, please click on the icon in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and type in your question. The first question asks if you could address your dividend policy.
Currently, we've been paying, I think it's ranged about 4.4 million US is what it comes down to. We plan to continue doing that. I think that it helps us enforce a discipline upon our organization to understand that we should be returning to our shareholders on a regular basis, especially when we see a great gold price and a great, I'd say, forward projection of where our industry is going and our company. So currently we plan to do that. It of course could change if we can have a huge project that's going to suck up a lot of capital. That we may find that's a better way to go. But currently we expect to continue paying the dividend.
Does your ownership structure make it more difficult to do any more share buybacks under the normal course issuer bids?
There are some limitations in that if we buy too much back, we could drive one shareholder over 50%, which has some minor consequences. So I guess, yes, there is some inherent structural restriction in how much we might want to buy back because of that. It doesn't limit us, and obviously there's certain flexibility and things that can be done going forward. Currently, we're probably in pretty good shape where we're at with that. We think that between the dividends and investing in our capital projects and our exploration programs, that will probably increase our cash balance a little bit, but that we have good places to put our money right now.
And there's another question that came in. Please explain an update on status of Paciencia deep and royalty negotiations.
We've been in discussions with AngloGold on the royalties that are associated with that property, which we feel are a little stiff. The discussions have been ongoing. They were challenged by the quarantining due to COVID-19. It limited interaction that both companies were willing to do last year. The discussions are continuing. Our exploration guy talks with those guys very regularly on where we go, and we've actually had some back and forth with some proposals.
There's another question asking about the impact of COVID and whether you think conditions are trending for the worse, they're stabilizing, or getting better. And you might also just address maybe some of your company's protocols.
Okay, well, in March we started implementing protocols, and basically as we call it our COVID-19 action plan, and limiting travel between properties, limiting exposure of people at the mine through masks, through use of alcohol, soap, almost everything that we've seen, across the world that's been pulled out as something we've implemented. We've seen ups and downs in the coronavirus reaction here in Brazil. I have had a chance to be back in the United States a couple times during this period. I would say Brazil and the United States are actually very similar in their responses and how they're behaving around the coronavirus. Our company, hard to point and say, hey, that right there caused the problem. We did have a period of time at Turmalina where we had a significant number of incidents of people who were quarantined because someone in their house had it or because they had it themselves. And hard to say how much it hurt us. It probably knocked a lot of momentum off the team in the third quarter going into the fourth quarter. We think it cost us some momentum. The team dealt with it pretty good, but we saw a significant number of people at the underground mine weren't available. Kind of came back. We had almost no incidents at all for several months, and in January we started seeing a pickup of incidents, which has happened all across the country of Brazil, actually. So we've implemented re-implemented some of the constraints. They've come off and on as the flow of the coronavirus has gone up and down. We think we'll do our best to manage through it. The vaccination arrived in Belo Horizonte, the capital of the state and the center of our two mines. Arrived on Monday afternoon, and vaccinations have started. So Brazil actually has a great record of vaccination and has a very good system for it. So we think it'll roll out pretty quickly over the next several months.
And the next question points out that your proven and probable amounts to about 505,000 ounces, which translates to a 4 to 5 year mine life. Do you have any goals with respect to length of life, or how do you think about that?
Well, hard for me to project beyond 10 years, but I would say I'm pretty comfortable that the two mines we have operating can generate reserves that can sustain the operations for 10 years. And at some point we get pretty darn deep, so it might take some kind of technological changes and stuff, but that's probably a reasonable projection within the resource base we have in the two mines. At some point we would expect properties like Fina, Pontao, Zona Basalt to be taking up more of the slack at our Turmalina mine and contributing more. But that's out there a few years for several of those. At Pilar, we've seen the same thing. We have some great opportunities higher in the mine that we're trying to develop. We are developing, and we're doing exploration drilling on as well. And we think there's some real opportunities for augmenting the production there, both potentially growing it and extending the life of them. So I would say, if you look at us as a 100,000 ounce producer, I'm pretty comfortable thinking we can do that for 10 years right now. I would say we have a lot of opportunities to expand it and to build bases that would continue the production profile past that point.
And the next question is asking about 2021 capital expenditures and funding needs. I don't know whether if you want to kind of address that from a sources and uses perspective, but that's the question.
Yeah, we are, we're planning to invest more in 2021 than we did in 2020. Predominantly, we could have probably used the investment last year, but we didn't have the systems in place after 3 years of being very short of cash and not generating positive cash flow. An awful lot of things were eliminated, but we had to put together the teams, specifically some engineering and planning and project teams to allow us to engage some of them. So, we should be seeing an increase of, probably 25 to 30% in our capital expenditures this year. Now, on top of that, we're going to spend a lot more on our exploration. So the exploration is going to see a significant increase.
Is that going, it's just out of curiosity, is that going to include the 500,000 with the Iam Gold JV?
Yeah, the Iam Gold JV has we're committed to spending at least 500,000 there. I would expect we'll spend more than that. We really like that prospect that we're working on there, and we'll probably spend more than that. We currently are budgeted, and this includes some exploration development, includes diamond drilling, includes our teams on the ground and geophysics. Last year we spent roughly $5 million on exploration, and we're budgeting well over twice that much this year. So, and if we have great success, we'll spend more.
Okay. And did you want to talk about a little about the funding?
The funding?
Yeah, just the funding. I mean, how much of that's going to be out of your capital expenditures will be out of operating?
Everything we spend this year will come out.
Money left over for dividends. Okay.
Yeah.
And then just really the last question is about political and regulatory risks in Brazil.
Yeah. Well, again, I've mined in Canada, I've mined in the United States. I had a go down in Argentina for a while. I said, as a regulatory environment, this is a good place to be a miner. They understand it. They're supportive of it on both a national and a state level. You're at risk. Brazil had some significant problems. Two of the, modern disasters with tailing dams, two of them happened in this state in the last, I think, 6 years. So there's a lot of restrictions on tails dams. We do a lot of work, and we're doing work right now. It's one of the places we're investing money to minimize our risks and our exposures there, and to enable us to maintain good, safe dams. All of our dams are currently within standards, and any places that improvement is needed, we're working on. Basically, we are going to dry stack tails. I think that's probably going to be a trend for our industry worldwide, but we're investing money right now in ensuring that basically all of our tails will be in a dry stack situation.
Well, Vernon, I think that's about all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to talk about this great company that I get to be part of. Thanks a lot.